Greetings, this is Griff Ruby, the Nostalgia Catholic, with yet another Isaac Asimov short story. Now, I'm holding up the book into which it is first collected for the simple reason that I have not ever been able to find a copy of where it was originally released to the reading public, nor even pictures of the pages in which it would have appeared or the cover of the magazine, which, by the way, would have been, interestingly, the New York Times Magazine, not to be confused with the New York Times newspaper. It was a magazine they had going for a while. So they had the story, and there was probably his first sale to them of a fiction story. But at any rate, it is also collected into the Bicentennial Man and Other Stories. And the story itself has got the title, The Life and Times of Multivac. So, yes, this is a Multivac story. And it's rather an unusual one. Fairly short, though, thankfully. But rather interesting. Leads off on a really good question. Okay. It starts with somebody had tried to tear up. Well, you got the Multivac computer. This is some kind of future scenario where even though there's 50 million robots and the great Multivac computer has so taken over, it's got terminals everywhere that there's just no place you can be on planet Earth without a Multivac terminal somewhere nearby. You can ask it any question. If you need to get more, you'll have to convince Multivac that you deserve more. Anyway, there's only 500,000 human beings. We don't want to think about how that one was brought about, but there it is. Okay, this is the way the world is, and it looks like it could be this way until human being just kind of, says, what are we even living here for, and dies out. And maybe he may have suspected that if things are that easy, you could get that situation. I think of experiments where they put rats in this place where they have all the food they want, they have anything else they want. They can breed with each other all they want. They can do whatever else. There's little things to climb and things to run around in and so forth and so forth. They've got all this stuff, but there's nothing to do, nothing to accomplish. And after some period of time, without any apparent problem, no diseases or anything, they died out. Maybe human beings might do the same. But so that kind of thought may be lingering way, way, way in the background here. Because what's happened is it starts with one guy kind of angry with Multivac, and he vandalizes one of the Multivac terminals. Another guy, out of the blue, very quickly jumps on that guy and accuses him. And now Multivac wants to know about why are you accusing him? And strangely enough, we don't hear much more about the guy who did the first vandalism. But the other guy is getting examined. He's talking to Multivac, and he's saying, we could prevent these things and make human beings more happy if we could kind of breed them to be more amenable to letting Multivac run their lives. There's all these different genetic combinations that make up every human being. Perhaps there might be some combination or a set of combinations that if we based our human beings more on that, they would be more compliant, more convenient, less likely to make trouble. And Multivac thinks this is a really interesting problem and starts thinking away on it. Well, the guy's got a rather devious reason for doing this. He's actually trying to this is a huge problem. I mean, how huge is the human DNA? How many different proteins could you have for each individual gene that could, cause all kinds of different variations on how the person is, and how all these combinations might enter, how the different genes and all these different possible. You got so many. You got the numbers. Astronomical. Even Multivac can't handle this number. Can't even come close. I mean, just trying to count all the possible bridge hands. Not that I know bridge, but I mean, everybody gets 13 cards out of a 52 card deck, and you can believe that. You can believe that that the number of combinations is this ridiculously astronomical figure that's like more than there are atoms in the known galaxy or something like that, or at least the solar system. It's a huge, huge, huge number. And that's just 52 playing cards. Here we're talking about genetic, all the human genes making up the human genome and all the different possible arrangements of those. And that's, okay, you get the idea. It's a number so huge that even a mega super ultra computer like Multivac is going to, Multivac should decide this is an important problem. And apparently this is. This is something that's got to be thought about, and it will devote resources to that, and really pour a lot of its time and energy into that. And all of that, and now meanwhile, some of the fellow human beings here are kind of like, why did you do that? Why are you helping create a slave kind of human that would be okay with letting Multivac run its life and just be so, subject to it without complaint, so compliant? Are you trying to make us slaves of Multivac? They really wanted to know that. No, I have another plan. My goal here is to distract Multivac for another project that I have, and that has to do with finding, any combination of networks and network nodes. There's bound to be some place somewhere that's so sensitive that you could, with just one spot, bring the whole thing down. And I've been quietly working that problem, and I've come up with a solution. He brings down Multivac. This is the end of Multivac, by the way. Or at least an end of Multivac. Apparently it's unretrievable. It just brings the whole thing down to its knees permanently. I mean, even though Multivac could at some point decide the problem is insolvable and just quit working on it, or else maybe even solve it somehow. Who knows? I mean, it's really smart. Who knows what it might be capable of doing, despite the astronomical range of the problem. But he has to do work quickly, and all the more so because the other guy had done something, and he had to move quickly before Multivac might decide that maybe he might be up to something similar. Well, he brings it down, and now everybody has to suddenly say, well, what do you think of what I did? That, in a nutshell, is the story. The idea being is that, did we really want our lives to be controlled with Multivac? The very idea of being made more slaves, which it sounded like he was doing, was pretty unappealing. Say nothing of, like I said, remember the rats or mice or whatever animal it was they did the experiment with. So it's actually kind of is a short but interesting little story. Nice, gives you stuff to think about. And that is the life and times of Multivac. Although he wanted to title it Mathematical Games. I can't help wondering if that might have been a little nod to Martin Gardner, I think something of a friend of his, who wrote for Scientific American a column that he called Mathematical Games. There could be something of that in the background. Anyway, that's what I have to say for that. Thanks for listening.